You are the only caver on Mars. 41 years old, 2 decades of limestone and ice under your harness. And now, the whole roster of human exploration narrows to one name. Yours. The habitat prep bay glows dust orange through a single porthole. Suit racks line the wall like sleeping bodies. You are about to become the first person to lower yourself into a hole no instrument has ever seen the bottom of. You lay the anchor kit across the bench. Cams, bolts, a spool of static rope rated far past anything you'll load in Martian gravity. Here you weigh a little over a third of your Earth self, and the rope knows it. You count the hardware twice. On Earth, redundancy is a habit. Here, at 0.38 G and tens of millions of kilometers from the nearest replacement, it is a religion. You seat the helmet and wake the suit's spectrometer. A calibration slate glows. You breathe on the intake, run the reference sample, watch the spectral lines settle where they should. Carbon, iron oxide, the flat, dead chemistry of a planet that has been a tomb for 3 billion years. Every reading confirms what you climbed all this way believing. The rock is warm, but the rock is dead. A tablet slides across the bench. The Planetary Protection Lockout Waiver. You know the shape of it. COSPAR containment law, forward and back contamination, the sealed suit clause. You skim. You initial the boxes about samples you will never touch, hazards you will never meet. You sign. Your name enters the mission log as sole entrant. There is now a record with only your name on it, and no way to unsign it. Your commander watches from the hatch and says the honest thing. No human body has ever gone where you are going. The words land quieter than you expect. Professional calm cracks, just slightly, and something older leaks through. Awe, the kind you felt at 9, staring into a cave mouth, wondering what waited past the light. The Tharsis tube waits under the plane, a collapse pit opening into darkness that has held the same warm air, undisturbed, since before Earth had cells. Residual volcanic heat, trapped ice, a place that should be sterile. You seal your gloves. The airlock cycles behind you with a long mechanical sigh, and you walk out toward the pit rim, boots crunching frost that never fully leaves. What is down there that no instrument has ever mapped? You clip into the anchor and lean back over nothing. The pit rim drops away beneath your heels, a ragged throat of basalt where the ceiling of the tube fell in some unknowable age ago. Below you, darkness. Above you, a disk of pink sky the color of old rose, dust-hazed, going about its business without you. You feed the first meter of rope through your descender, and the strangeness hits at once. The rope does not fall. It drifts. In 0.38 G, the line sinks lazy and slow, coiling below you like something underwater, and your own weight settles into the harness gentle as a held breath. 2 decades of muscle memory calibrated for Earth, and every reflex now overshoots. You descend. The walls are ropey, folded lava, frozen mid-pour, glazed here and there with frost that has never once seen morning. Your headlamp throws a hard white cone across textures no eye has ever resolved. You read them as you go. Flow lines, cooling cracks, the grammar of a dead volcano. And the reading steadies you. This is your language. You are still, for now, a mapper of rock. Then the rope swings. A small kick of your boot against the wall sends you into a slow, wide pendulum, and the low gravity refuses to damp it. You drift out, then back toward the basalt with unhurried menace. On Earth, you would already have stopped. Here, the swing just keeps arriving. You splay a glove against the wall, absorb it, breathe, feel awe narrow into something sharper. Focus. You cannot afford wonder with 100 meters of open shaft beneath you. You look up once. The disk of sky has shrunk. What was a window is now a plate, then a saucer, the pink dimming as the shaft walls close it in. You pass a threshold you cannot name until it is behind you. The last direct sunlight. The final photon that travelled unbroken from a star. Below this line, no light has fallen since before your species existed. The disk closes to a coin, then to a spark. The suit's readout ticks warmer against your skin, degree by degree, the way the briefing promised. Warm rock. Dead rock. You keep descending into it, rope hissing slow through the descender, breath loud inside the sealed helmet you cannot open. How deep does the warm dark go? Your boots touch down. A floor. Flat, dust-softened, silent. A surface no eye has ever seen. You stand on it alone, the coin of sky impossibly far above. You unclip. The rope hangs behind you, a pale line vanishing up into black, its end swaying with the last of your descent. You coil the slack, clip it to the anchor sling at the shaft base, and step away from it. This is the moment the mission was built around, and the moment you feel it, the vertical world is finished. Ahead lies the horizontal crawl, and the rope stays here. The tunnel opens wider than your lamp can fill. You sweep the cone left, right, up. A basalt corridor twice your height, walls glazed to black glass where the lava cooled fast against trapped air. The floor runs flat and dust-soft, unbroken, curving gently into dark. No skylight ahead, no coin of sky. Only the tube going on. You begin to map. You pace a baseline, ping the walls with the suit's ranging laser, log dimensions into the slate. 9 meters across, 5 high, the ceiling ribbed with old flow lines like the roof of a mouth. Every number lands clean. No wind noise to fight, no water to redraw the passage. This is a pristine data set, the kind a geologist dreams of, rock untouched since before your species drew breath. For a few minutes, you are only the mapper again, and it is glorious. Then you feel it through your soles. Warmth. Not the gradual creep the descent promised, but a steady radiant heat pressing up through your boots, through the insulation, into the bones of your feet. You crouch. You lay a gloved palm flat against the floor and hold it there. The suit reports the surface temperature, and you read it twice, because the first read cannot be right. The floor is warmer than the model, warmer than residual volcanic heat should leave it this far down, this long after the last eruption. Established fact. Tharsis retains deep thermal memory. Reasonable extrapolation. A tube like this should be cooling, slow but sure, toward the planet's dead average. Your reading sits above that curve, not by error's margin, by something. You stand in the warm dark, and the wonder turns, quietly, into unease. You have spent 20 years trusting that rock tells the truth. This rock is telling you something the briefing did not. You look back once toward the rope you left behind, the only way up, then forward into the passage that pulls the heat from somewhere you cannot yet see. Why is dead rock this warm, this deep? You take the first step of the crawl. On your visor, low and to the left, a sensor icon blinks amber. The amber icon pulls you off the baseline. You follow it, boots whispering through dust, toward the warmth's edge, and the wall opens into a shallow alcove your lamp had not caught. Ice rims the mouth of it, a lace of frost gone soft, and below the frost, the rock glistens. Not dry, wet. A dark seam bleeds slow across the basalt, beaded and shining where your light strikes it. You crouch. 20 years of instinct says water at depth means life on Earth. But this is not Earth, and you tell yourself so twice. Reasonable extrapolation. Subsurface brine can stay liquid here where warmth and salt conspire against the freeze. That is all this is. Salty water on warm rock. You have read the papers. You know the sentence by heart. You unstow the spectrometer wand and pass it slow along the wet seam, the way you passed it over the reference sample in the prep bay a lifetime ago. The slate paints its spectral lines. Carbon, as expected. Iron. Sulfates in the brine. Then a line rises where no line should be. A broad, ragged signature the calibration slate never showed you. Organic, complex, structured. Your breath stops inside the sealed helmet. You hold the wand dead still. The signature holds too, steady, insisting. For one whole second, you are not a mapper of dead rock. You are something else, crouched in the warm dark, watching a stranger's handwriting bloom across your screen. Then the suit erases it. A flag blinks. Sensor error. Condensation on aperture. And the software folds the anomalous line back into noise, smooths the curve, logs the reading as a fault. The dead chemistry returns, clean and obedient. The machine has decided you saw nothing. You sit back on your heels. Excitement and doubt collide so hard you cannot tell which is winning. The suit is built to reject exactly this. A false positive from a frosted lens, a smear of your own exhaled carbon, contamination the protocol assumes. It is protecting the mission from a mistake. Or it is protecting you from a truth no one wrote a procedure for. You run it again. Same broad line. Same auto-rejection. The instrument will not let the reading stand. And you cannot, from in here, tell error from revelation. That is the whole terror of it. The tool that made you trustworthy has stopped agreeing with you. So you do the thing you were trained never to do lightly. You open the manual log. You override the fault flag by hand. You type what you saw, timestamp it, and attach the raw spectrum before the software can bury it. Your judgment is now on the record, over the machine's objection, with only your name on the entry. There is no unsigning this either. You stand, and a draft crosses your visor, a thin, cold thread of moving air. You track it by the frost fog it stirs. It is coming from deeper in the tube, flowing toward the shaft, toward the surface. That much makes sense. Warm air rises, and a tube open to the plane breathes like a chimney, the deep heat drawing a slow current up and out. The draft is not the anomaly. It is the ruler the anomaly will break. Is the instrument wrong, or is it shielding you from what it found? You turn your lamp down the passage, into the draft, and start walking against the wind. The draft leads you into a chamber your lamp cannot fill. The tunnel swells outward. The walls fall back beyond the cone of light. The ceiling lifts into black, and for the first time since the shaft, you feel space around you instead of stone. You stop at its edge. The dust underfoot is deeper here, undisturbed, soft as ash. Nothing has ever crossed it. You raise the lamp and sweep the far wall. Basalt, glazed and folded, ice in the low seams. And there, near the floor, a patch of surface the size of your two hands, dark against the glass. You hold the beam on it. You breathe slow inside the sealed helmet. You wait. It moves. Not a trick of the light. Not a shadow sliding as your hand shakes. The patch shifts. A slow crawl of texture across itself, a wrinkle traveling one way, while the edge creeps another. You freeze every muscle you own. You steady the lamp against your chest to kill your own tremor. The patch keeps moving. You check the draft. The suit paints the airflow on your visor, a thin arrow threading past you toward the shaft. Out, toward the surface, the way warm air always climbs out of a warm deep. That much is ordinary. The chimney has been pulling upwards since you dropped in. But if that patch were dust, it would drift with the air. If it were frost sublimating, it would feed the current. It moves across the draft. It moves against it. Established fact. Nothing passive should do that. Wind carries loose things one direction. Slumping ice, settling grit, electrostatic dust. Every dead process you know obeys the flow or obeys gravity. This patch obeys neither. It works at some angle of its own, patient, indifferent to the air sliding past. 20 years of reading rock, and rock has never once looked back. You stand at the lip of the chamber and feel the reverence you carried down the shaft turn over in your chest, cold side up. Wonder was safe. This is not wonder. This is the older thing underneath it, the animal thing, the thing that knows when it is not alone in the dark. You cannot make it stop moving by not believing it. You have tried. The tube is not dead. Whatever else is true, that sentence is finished. The one you signed the waiver believing, the one the spectrometer kept insisting on. It is done. Reasonable extrapolation says a starved brain in total dark will invent motion, will build a shape from noise to fill the silence. Intentional speculation says it will not invent something that defies the wind. You do not yet know which you are watching. Is that motion life? Or is it your own mind, filling the black with company? There is only one way to know. You step off the chamber's edge into the untouched dust, lamp trembling in both hands, toward the patch that moves against the wind. You cross the dust in slow, careful steps, each boot sinking and lifting with a whisper, and the patch grows in your lamp until it fills the cone. Up close, it is not one thing. It is a film, layered, faintly ridged, a skin of dark green-black laid over the basalt like frost that learned to organize itself. The edges are not random. They curve. They repeat. You stop an arm's length away and do what you were trained to do. You document. You brace the spectrometer wand, steady your breath inside the sealed helmet, and let the slate paint its lines. The broad organic signature rises again. The same ragged handwriting from the seam, stronger here, insistent. This time, the suit does not flag it away. It cannot. The source is too close to blame on a frosted lens. You photograph it. You range it. You log the temperature of the film against the floor, and the film reads warmer, as if the heat has a maker, and this is it. Every protocol you skimmed in the prep bay lives in this exact moment. Observe, never contact, seal the record, climb out clean. You know the words. You initialed the boxes. Document without touching. That is the whole law. Your breath is enormous in the helmet now, loud and ragged, fogging the visor at its lower edge. You have proof on the slate. You have images, spectra, geometry. It is enough for any journal, any tribunal, any history. And it is not enough for you. Because a screen can lie, and a screen already lied once, and you have spent 20 years trusting your hands over any instrument that ever wore a warning label. You raise your glove. Everything you are screams no. Training, waiver, the machine, the small sane voice counting the cost. You watch your own fingers extend, slow, deliberate, disobedient. You press one fingertip to the living film. It gives. Soft, faintly resistant, warm through the glove. The yield of something that is not rock. In one heartbeat you feel elation crack open your chest. The pure white lightning of touching a second beginning of life, and in the same heartbeat, the horror arrives beneath it because you know exactly what you have done. The suit knows too. A red bar floods the visor. Contamination lockout. Glove breach. The flag is not a suggestion. It is a verdict, time-stamped, under your name alone. Your glove is now recorded as compromised. And there is no override for this one. No manual log to type your way out of. Did you just confirm life, or smear your own carbon across the only proof there ever was? Warning tones cascade through the helmet, layered and rising, and with a hard mechanical bite, the helmet seal clamps down against your throat and will not release. The tones stop. Not resolved. Silenced. Folded into a low, steady chirp that means the suit has finished deciding and moved on. Your fingertip is still against the film. You lift it away, slow, as if slowness could take back the contact. It cannot. The red bar holds across your visor, patient as a scar. You stand in the untouched dust and listen to your own breath come apart. You reach up. Both gloves find the helmet ring at your collar, the twin release catches you have thumbed 1,000 times in 1,000 airlocks without a thought. You press them. Nothing. You press harder, twisting the way the drill taught you, and the seals do not answer. The lockout has driven a mechanical bolt through the mechanism. The helmet is no longer a thing you wear. It is a thing you are inside. You understand it now, fully, the way you never did skimming the waiver on the prep bay bench. The sealed suit clause was never about keeping Mars out. It was about keeping you in. Whatever you touched, you are now assumed to carry. On the glove, in the air you exhale, across every surface of a body that can no longer be opened until it stands inside containment. Above, on the surface, you left 100 meters over your head. A new line wakes low on the visor. Life support. Remaining. The number begins to fall. Scrubber load, oxygen, power, all of it spent on keeping a suspected contaminant breathing long enough to climb out and be judged. The margin was generous for a mapping run. It is not generous for a sealed prisoner who must now retrace every meter. The digits bleed downward, and each one you spend standing still is one you will not have on the rope. There is no decontamination down here. No shower, no wipe, no way to scrub the film's warmth off a glove that recorded the breach under your name alone. You cannot open the helmet. You cannot untouch it. You cannot unknow the give of it beneath your finger. The triumph you felt for one white heartbeat has curdled cell by cell into a dread with no floor. You look back at the film on the wall, still working at its own slow angle, indifferent to your verdict. You are the first witness. You may also be the wound. Which one climbs out of here? The discoverer or the disease? You turn toward the passage that leads back to the rope, and the timer keeps counting, and you start to walk. You retrace the crawl faster than you mapped it, boots punching your own outbound prints back into the dust, the film's chamber shrinking behind you into black. The organic signature rides on your slate. The breech rides on your glove. The timer rides on your visor, and it does not slow for you. You reach the shaft base where the rope hangs, pale and patient, exactly where you left it clipped to the anchor sling. You unstow the ascenders. Two mechanical fists, toothed cams that bite the rope one way and grip against the other. You clamp the upper onto the line, then the lower, thread your foot loop, and load the system with your third of Earth weight. The rope goes taut and thrums. You look up the throat of basalt into nothing, 100 meters of it, and somewhere at the top, a spark you have to grow back into a sun. You climb. Slide the upper cam, stand in the loop, sit, slide the lower, stand again. A stairway you build one rung at a time out of your own thighs. On Earth, this cadence would drain you. Here each push lifts less mass and burns air anyway, because the scrubber does not care how light you are. Every stand costs a breath. Every breath is a digit off the falling number. The seal traps your heat against you. There is no wind in here to carry it off, no vent you can crack, only the warm rock outside and your own furnace inside, and the visor fogs at its lower rim, with every exhale. Sweat runs where you cannot wipe it. The helmet you cannot open holds all of you in. Your breath, your fear, whatever you carried out of that chamber. You look up and the spark has become a point, then a bead, then a coin. The same coin that shrank away from you on the way down, now widening, pink and dust-hazed and unbearably ordinary. Exhaustion floods your arms and something harder floods underneath it. Resolve. You did not climb down here to die on a rope with the proof unspoken. You climb. The coin becomes a plate, a window, a mouth of rose light. Your ascenders bite the last meters. Basalt gives way to the ragged pit rim, and you haul your body over the lip into open Martian dusk, sky above you for the first time in hours. The frost that never leaves crunching under your knees. Silhouettes ring the pit against the pink. Your crew, hands reach down toward you, then stop. They hover at the rim and do not close. They do not pull you out. They guide you at arm's length along a taped corridor of plastic sheeting to a containment tent bolted against the habitat flank. The flap seals behind you with the same long mechanical sigh the airlock made when you left. Harsh work lights flood the space white. There is a bench, a data umbilical, and a wall of clear polymer between you and everyone you know. You sit. The helmet stays bolted, the breech still red across your visor, the life support timer still bleeding its last thin margin. You jack the suit into the umbilical. Somewhere, a green bar climbs. Your slate empties itself upward. The photographs, the ranging, the spectra, the film that read warmer than the floor, the broad organic signature that would not auto-reject. It uploads, it goes to the relay, and the relay throws it at Earth across tens of millions of kilometers. You speak your account through the glass. You describe the wet seam, the draft that climbed the wrong way, the patch that moved against the wind. The give of it under your fingertip. Your voice is steady. Your evidence is real. For the first time, the instrument and the witness agree, and the discovery is no longer yours to doubt. Life began a second time, in the warm dark, and you touched it, and no one meets your eyes. Your commander stands closest to the barrier, reading your data on a tablet, and looks at the tablet. The medic looks at the timer. The others find the floor, the seams of the tent, the middle distance, anywhere but the sealed face that carried the proof out. You have delivered the largest sentence in the history of biology, and the room has gone quiet around you like water closing over a stone. Through the polymer, you hear the debate begin, low and careful. Not whether the film is alive, whether your glove smeared human carbon across the only sample, whether the breach makes every reading suspect, whether the proof and the contamination are now the same molecules and cannot be told apart. Your touch confirmed it. Your touch may have ruined it. Both are true on the record, time-stamped, under your name alone. A word moves through their conversation and lands on you. Contaminant, not explorer, not first witness. The mission log reclassifies you where you sit. A body that came back changed, a possible source of exactly the false positive the whole protocol was built to reject. Are you the evidence or the thing that spoiled it? On the wall, a counter starts. Earth response, delay. Better than 3 minutes out, better than 3 minutes back. The digits climb while the debate on your side of the glass hardens, and you wait, sealed, for a planet to answer a question no one can unask. You are the only human who has touched a second beginning of life, and you will be the only one who ever can. 41 years old, sealed for weeks behind polymer walls, and the whole future of the question narrows again to one name, yours. The quarantine module holds a single window. Beyond it, the Tharsis plains run flat to a horizon going the color of old rose. Dusk. You have watched dozens of them from in here now. The helmet is off. That much they gave you, once the containment doors closed and the surface protocols ran their course. The seal finally releasing with a sigh you felt in your teeth. But the room does not open. It will not open. The waiver you skimmed on a prep bay bench has become the shape of the rest of your life. A body that came back changed, kept apart, studied through glass by people who once shared your table. Earth has answered. The relay carried your spectra across more than 55 million kilometers, and through the debate back, 6 minutes late at best, over and over. Is it life? Is it contamination? Is it the same molecules wearing two names? They cannot tell from there, and you cannot tell from here. The film moved against the wind. You felt it give beneath your finger. That much no argument can take from you. You press a palm to the window the way you pressed it to the warm floor, 100 meters down, a lifetime ago. This is the reward, and it is a lonely one. You know something the entire species does not yet know, and can never fully unknow. Life did not begin once, carefully, as a miracle held only on your world. It began again, in the dark, under a dead sky, without asking permission. And you cannot decide what that means. If life woke twice in one small solar system, then perhaps we are joined to it, kin to the warm dark, no longer the single flame in an empty house. Or perhaps it means life is cheap, ordinary, a thing rock does when it is warm and wet and left alone, and we are not special, only early, only loud. The same fact makes you less alone and makes you nothing at all. The terror has gone out of it. What is left, watching the plains dim, is something quieter and older. The reverence you felt at 9 at a cave mouth, grown enormous. You are the first witness. You are the first suspect. You will be both until you die. The rose light narrows toward the horizon. And in your memory, the sky is closing again. A window, a plate, a saucer, a coin. That last coin of daylight shrinking above the pit as you lowered yourself past the final photon. It is still closing in you. It always will be. Are we joined to what waits in the warm dark? Or merely common? You hold the question. You do not hold the answer. You watch the coin of sky go small, and you wait for a planet to decide what you are.